What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's weather update for Monday, June 5th, 2023. Taking a look at the national satellite picture, we can see we have a big storm system that is ongoing off the coast of New England, east of Maine, coming into parts of Nova Scotia. And with this, there is some rainfall. The majority of it is missing New England, but some of that moisture retrograde around it. Quiet conditions for the rest of the East Coast. We do have this cloud feature here on satellite, which is pushing southward. That is almost like a backdoor cold front. And to the west of this, we do have a lot of showers and thunderstorms from the Rocky Mountains through the plains, all the way down into the Gulf Coast region. And in the coastal regions of Texas, there actually is a slight risk of severe thunderstorms, which is ongoing. Taking a look here at the radar, you can see here's that moisture that's east of Maine, near Nova Scotia and whatnot. And you can see here, it is causing some clouds and shower activity, not a whole lot. The majority of that moisture is to the east. And if we take a look here through portions of the Gulf Coast region, we do have ongoing showers and thunderstorms. There could be localized flash flood warnings. There is a severe risk for portions of Texas. More on that in a moment. Taking a look here at the National Hazards Map, I do have to show you here all these gray areas which you see up in the north. Those are air quality alerts. And because of that storm system that is rotating, with the moisture going around and the winds going around in the counterclockwise fashion, there is a problem with that. On the back side of the low, the north winds that's coming down, it's bringing down the smoke from the wildfires up in the north, and that's going to create some potentially dangerous air quality situations over the next several days. Eventually, we'll probably see these air quality alerts spread down into Pennsylvania as well. And you can see it's ongoing back here in Wisconsin and portions of Minnesota. And this is going to be a problem for multiple days until the system finally pushes east. Taking a look at the National Hurricane Center here. And you can see here, there is a disturbance out in the Atlantic. Just a small 10% chance. And I'll actually show you that on satellite. You can see there's a weak disturbance out here. And taking a look at the Atlantic view, look at that storm system off the east coast of Maine, Nova Scotia. That's a relatively strong storm system. Now, taking a look at the Storm Prediction Center, you can see there is a severe thunderstorm watch out for southern Texas. That threat continues, but is likely going to wane over the next few hours. There is actually a mesoscale discussion right now for portions of Northern California. You could see a few isolated severe storms there today. A severe thunderstorm watch at this time frame is unlikely. As we go into Tuesday, a few more marginal risk areas, one in Florida, one in South Carolina, one in western Texas, on up into New Mexico, and portions of Utah, California, Idaho, Nevada. Not terribly concerning. Perhaps one of these get upgraded to a slight risk. And again, another day for South Carolina on Wednesday, Texas, portions of New Mexico, and portions of the Pacific Northwest. And as we continue on here, let's continue on here to the latest mesoscale, or I should say excessive rainfall outlook. And as you can see here, from Texas on up through to portions of Colorado and even Montana, there is the risk of some heavy rainfall. Straight on up, almost up to the Canadian border, where it is a marginal risk up there. There's another marginal risk for portions of the Dakotas on into Minnesota and Wisconsin. Not terribly concerned about flooding there, but just know because of pop-up thunderstorms, there could be an isolated flash flood warning or two in these areas. Taking a look here at the latest NAM, and let's take a look at the NAM for the next couple days. And as you can see here, you do get these ongoing daily showers and thunderstorms, but also I want to draw your attention to New England. That system, it does shift a little bit more back to the west. And look what happens here. You do get into some steadier rains in Maine. Also, you're going to see windy conditions. Gusts could be as high as 30 miles per hour. Temperatures are going to be well below average. And this is going to continue on Wednesday. Though there will be less activity on Wednesday, you can see here it does continue. Something else I want to draw your attention to. This wave of energy does try to slide in from the Great Lakes through to the Carolinas. Watch this. It does come across North Carolina. I think it's possible on Wednesday you'll see a slight risk added in this area. There could be some severe storms with this. Isolated tornado can't be ruled out, and there could also be a threat of straight line winds. Now, moving on to the longer range, this does generate some problems. Look over the mid-Atlantic region. It continues to be dry for day after day after day. Yes, you could see some isolated showers on Tuesday evening and again on Friday or Thursday night, but look, no significant precipitation here in the Mid-Atlantic region. You will continue to see the daily showers and storms across the plains on up into the Rock, and this is going to provide some much needed drought relief. But again, what you are not seeing here is a significant rain event in the Mid-Atlantic region. There are some signs there could be some rain next week. Here's the GFS. You can see on the GFS here, it is showing a system that comes into the picture late this upcoming weekend. The models disagree on what's going to happen with this. GFS here is showing it tries to cut off and make some sort of a cutoff system, which, yes, that would be beneficial. But then we come over here to the Canadian, and you'll see on the Canadian, it's not as impressive with this system. As you can see here, here comes that system. It does show heavier rain to the west, but it stays to the west. And then some of the energy gets caught down south. So you're not seeing a huge amount of rainfall, though be it, as we finally get into next Tuesday, it does get a little energized. It does provide some heavy rain, but look what happens here. It weakens, and there's, again, not a terribly impressive amount of rain where we really need it. You get it to the south, you get it to the northwest, but look here. Right here off the Delmarva, DC on up through Philly, you have this dry slot. And this is where the drought conditions are really starting to expand, as you'll see in a moment. Let's take a look at the European real quickly, shall we? Here's the European. Now, the European is more impressive, and I'm going to show you surface precipitation with the European. You can see here, the European, it does start off initially dry in the forecast. But as we get into next week, here we're coming into the weekend, there's a few showers that come from that low that's spinning around. Could even be a few thunder showers as well. But as we get into next week, look what the European does. It has this upper level system over the Great Lakes. Ahead of that, it does have heavier rainfall. So we'll have to watch. There's three different solutions here. European puts heavier rainfall over the mid-Atlantic. I'll show it to you again. Right here over eastern Pennsylvania, an area that needs rain, even portions of New England. But what the other models do is, you saw the CMC, it's more west. The GFS, I'll show you the GFS total precipitation. It's not terribly impressive. Yes, it does try to pinpoint some heavier rainfall just to the south of the Mason-Dixon line, but not where we really need it. So, moving on here, let's take a look at some temperatures. Temperatures right now, they're below average in the Northeast. But as we advance this forward, as we get into the weekend, you can see here, late week, continuing to be below average. But now we start to come into the weekend. Look what's happening out here in Texas. Really warm conditions from Texas through the Gulf Coast states. Temperatures, near 100 degrees in some places. But that heat starts to build up, starts to build northward. And as we get into the weekend, look what happens. It starts to spread over to the Great Lakes. Then by Sunday, you see here, you're getting the heat starting to build back into the Northeast. You're going to be talking middle 80s from Philadelphia southward. Look at this, Atlanta area. The European is saying near 100 degrees. And Texas, I think you're coming into the dog days of summer. It's coming around. You're going to see multiple days of mid to upper 90s, heat index above 100. It's going to be relatively hot for you. But let's reverse for a second. Look out in the west. Not terribly hot in California. And as we advance this further into next week, you will see here, it does try to cool off again in the Northeast. And that's simply because we're going to have this upper level system. Again, a lot of questions as to where that's going to set up. But where it does set up, you could see some beneficial rain. The question is, will we see it in the area that needs it most, which is from about essentially Baltimore on up the 95 corridor to Boston, where it is really dry. And next I'm going to show you that. As you can see here, almost moderate drought starting to appear in portions of Pennsylvania. we still do have significant to extreme drought conditions from Texas on up into the plains. I think that's going to continue to improve over the next several days and several weeks, as you're going to have these daily pop-up showers and thunderstorms. Not everyone's going to see one each day. Some days it's going to congeal into areas of heavier rainfall. And because of that, these conditions will improve. Is it going to completely wipe away the drought? No, of course not. But I think it's enough that we're going to continue to see improvement. And look at this. We have seen improvement in western Florida. We may see a little bit more improvement with daily showers and thunderstorms. The Pacific Northwest, we'll probably see a little bit of improvement here as well. If anything in the Northeast, before the next update comes, we're going to see this get worse. It's just going to happen. It's going to get worse. Then we wait for next week and see what happens with that upper level system. All right, let's take a look at days 1 through 7 precipitation. Not a lot in the Northeast. It's showing here maybe a chance for a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch precipitate eastern Pennsylvania. That's generous if you ask me. You can see here the continued relief in the plains and on up through the Rocky Mountains. You can see, I think that's, if anything, this could actually end up being a little bit higher than this. Moving on to 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Well below average in the Four Corners region. Near normal in the Northeast, above average in the South, above average in the North. And then as we move to the 8 to 14 day outlook, you can see that warmth does build in Texas. It does spread northward and pushes east. Continues to be below average in the West, and I do agree with that. Taking a look here at precipitation, well above average precipitation across places like Nevada. So Lake Mead, yes, Lake Mead could continue to rise a little more, which is unusual for this time of year compared to the past few years, as it was dropping at this time of the year. Taking a look in the south, below average precipitation for southern Texas, below average for Florida, slightly below average on the Great Lakes, near normal to slightly above average across portions of Pennsylvania. Again, that would be the second half of this, and parts of that are going to be from whatever this elevated upper level system does, and beyond that, near normal. Again, still questions as to how long that system's going to hang around. In the south, like places like New Orleans, Houston, below average precipitation in the 8 to 14 day range. Again, above average precipitation for portions of California and Nevada. This is really good news for Lake Mead, and I am in agreement with this. I think we could see it continue to rise if there's enough precipitation. Remember, the mountains are still seeing some snow melt. I don't know how much snowpack is left. I'd have to look, but it's beneficial. Nonetheless, take any rain you can get out there. Alrighty, folks, that does it for today's weather update. We'll probably do another one at some point this week, whether it be tomorrow or later in the week. I don't know, but as conditions warrant, we'll have another update. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button down below. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone.